Dear students, let us continue with another API, that is Create API. After Open API, we are going to study the Create API. So for Create API, we write the prototype is integer create const cat start path name comma mode t mode. It is just equivalent to open path name o write only for user bar o create o truncate and mode. Both are equal only. This open file with these arguments is equal to create API. Now here in this create API, two arguments are there. One is path name, another is mode. So the path name argument is the path name of a file. Means it holds the address of the path of the file. The mode argument is same as that of Open API. As you saw, the mode API, what it is? In this one we saw mode is nothing but access mode, mode permission for group user. These are the values for group, this value, and for others this value. That is the mode. Similarly, here mode is there. Mode t, mode underscore t, mode. So for example, the Open API can be used both create and open regular files. Thus, the Create API has more obsolete. So Create API is more accurate and easy than the Open. Open API, which is equivalent to Create, is little bit complex. The Create function can be implemented using the Open function. Once the file is created, it can be used for Open function. For example, next API is Read API. Once the file is open, then you can call the Read API to read the contents of the file. For example, hash include unistd.h and hash include sys or types.h. S size underscore t read. Integer fd void star buff comma size underscore t size. So this function fetches a fixed size block of data from a file referenced by a given file descriptor. Here fd it represents the file which file need to be read. Fd is an integer file descriptor that refers to an open file, which it refers to the open file from where we are going to read the data. Next is star buffer. So star buff is the address of a buffer holding any data read. So in this buffer, it holds the address from where the data need to be read from this file. And next size underscore t size. So here size represents, it specifies how many bytes of data are to be read from the file. How many bytes of the data need to be read from this file. Hope all the three arguments are clear. fd represents the file. It is an integer value which represents the file, and star buffer, it holds the address from where the data need to be read, and size underscore t size, it represents the size of the data, how many bytes need to be read. Next is Read API. So we studied Open API, then Create API, then read API. So here read API, if successful, here return type is also there. You can see that return type is size underscore t. So it means if successful, the number of bytes actually read is returned. If the read API is successfully executed, then it will return the number of bytes it has read. Then there if we uh, if we are at end of file, then size is 0 is returned. If nothing is there in the file, then 0 is value will be returned. Otherwise -1 is returned, and the global variable error number is set to indicate the error. So if the file is not read and read API is not executed, then it will return -1 value. For example, let us see here. Two header file we are including, hash include sys bar types.h and hash include unistd.h. Char buff 20. We are creating a buffer array of buffer of size 20 bytes. Then size underscore t n bytes. N bytes is nothing but it will this value will be assigned if read API has read the data. Then size underscore t bytes read. So how many bytes it has read? An integer fd. So fd holds the address. It represents the any file descriptor. So now size of buffer here, size of buffer that value I assign with n bytes, because buffer holds the address from where the data need to be read. So read fd and buffer n bytes. N bytes is nothing but how many bytes of data need to be read. So all these things. So it will return a value positive, 0 or negative. If it is returning 0, if bytes read, if successfully read, then it will return the number of bytes data is read from the file fd, and you can close it. What are the different error number can occur in this one is EBADF, means file descriptor is not a valid file descriptor, or it is not open for reading. Now here you can see that here we are passing fd. What if file descriptor is not properly referring a file, then or may not fd may not be able to read a file. Fd may not be able to refer a file which is readable. Then EIO, input output error occurred while reading from the file system. And EINTR, the call was interpreted by a single before any data was read. So the call was interrupted. This is interrupted by a signal before any data was read. So these are the different errors can occur in read API. Next one is write API we have.